Okay, and we should be good to go, I think. Let's see this. Testing. Testing. Waiting for it to actually come to my end. Perfect. We are good to go. Okay. Let's do this. Just gonna be super chill studying because I lost motivation, so I figured I'll just put it online and see what happens. Mute my phone. Actually, that's kind of important. I won't mute my phone, but I'll still be logged in. Okay. Let's do it. In times of crisis, you would be forgiven for expecting humans to only look out for themselves, however people tend to share the burden of calamity and blank with another. Okay, so you'd expect them to be self-serving, but instead they're sharing the burden of the calamity and blank with another. Okay, well, I don't even need to read that far into it. Let's see. So instead of being self-serving, they actually work together. So they're collaborating, they're commiserating. I feel like that's just it. Oh, I'm stupid. Okay. Oh, I'm stupid. Okay. Horrible start, but it's only going to go up from here, right? It can only go up from here. Well, I got a first chat. Why are you watching me do the GRE? You're so stupid. For an author whose earlier works exemplify blank, his latest is surprisingly... Oh my gosh. Oh, this is going to suck. See, this just hinges on you knowing what Rococo means, so... This is a horrible start. Only 38% get it right. Where's works exemplify blank? This. I'm gonna go with this. Yeah, okay, that's right. Okay, so I was assuming that meant like kind of off all over the place. Let's see. Okay, what does Rococo mean? An exceptionally ornamental, what does that say? Ornamental and dramatic style of architecture, art, and decoration. So it's just kind of over the top and kind of extra. Okay. That's chill. The moniker worker bees is not a misnomer. These insects are undoubtedly among the most blank in the animal kingdom. So it's saying it's not a misnomer. The worker bees really are all that name is cracked up to be. So, industrious. Nice. 12 seconds. Devilishly clever, but wholly unethical, Samuel has a habit of blank teams of which he is a part of in the hope that superiors, noting the team's dysfunction, will elect a new project leader, Samuel himself. Okay, so he's doing something to teams. He's making the teams do badly so that he himself can become leader. So he's sabotaging them. I think it's undercutting. Because it's not underscore, it's not undervalue. It's either one of these two, but I think it's undercutting. Yeah. The cadets have been told in advance of the blank of boot camp. Nevertheless, the degree of blank they encounter still surprises them. So it's just rigors. Oh, camaraderie. Yeah, okay, so I know it's not rigors because there's nothing here that... Because this is going to be like symmetrical, right? So, till advantage of the blank of boot camp. Nevertheless, the degree of blank still surprises them. So it's the same word twice. There is no rigor here. So it has to be camaraderie and fellowship, if I had to guess. Yeah, we're right. We're good to go. The dreadnought battleships were the most powerful ever built. Blank. Their inordinate cost kept the ships moored in ports more often than not. Blank admirals fearing they'd be sunk by comparatively inexpensive torpedoes. Okay, let's start with the second blank, because that's just a fill-in word, which I've actually never seen in this before. Look at this, just more imports more often than not. Oh yeah, I don't think that's irrational. I don't think it's brash. So I don't know what cherry is, but I think it has to be that. I think it has to be ironically too, because it's the most powerful ever built, but ironically, they actually never saw combat. So yeah, okay, beautiful. That's great. What does cherry actually mean? Let's see this. Let's see if I'm pronouncing that right. This could be really embarrassing.
Cherry.
Cherry. Cautiously or suspiciously reluctant to do something. Okay, good to know. So it's just wary, but cherry. Edith's rhetoric is unseemly and her writing equally blank. However, this was not always the case. As an undergraduate student, she favored blank over blank. So it's unseemly. Okay, this is definitely a hard one. It says only 30% get this correct. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, so they're saying her rhetoric is unseemly. That's kind of what it hinges on. And her writing is equally, I'm thinking it's indecorous. I don't know what garrulous means. I feel like it could be any of these. I don't think haphazard is quite the word we're looking for. But however, as an undergraduate student, it was the opposite. She favored, I think it's couth over vulgarity. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I was actually worried about that one, but we're good. Just to be thorough, what does garrulous actually mean? Excessively talkative, especially on trivial matters. Okay, I would not have guessed that. I'm going to save that one for later, actually. Let me check and see if there's anything in chat. Okay. Next question. Okay. As a boss, Julia is unfailingly blank, her management characterized by infantile blank and shameless remarks, in stark contrast to her predecessor's more blank approach. So as a boss, Julia is unfailingly blank. Okay, and then infantile is going to be important here. Okay, so I'm thinking here, unfailingly puerile. This comes from Latin. So it's childish. And so it's characterized by infantile, so that's where I'm getting childish from. Slights and shameless remarks, so I think she's just offending people. But that's in stark contrast to her predecessor's more blank approach. It's the opposite of childish. So I'm thinking pristine, because I don't think politic is right, and ingenuous. I think that means, what does that mean? Well, I know there's disingenuous, which means like I don't know. Let's just try this and see what happens. That's wrong. Okay, let's try this. Also try this. Okay, it was politic. Okay, well, first, what does ingenuous mean, so I'm not leading people astray? Innocent and unsuspecting. Okay. Politic. Sensible and judicious.
Politic.
Okay, I just got cooked on that one. I couldn't divorce my mind from actual politics, so... Because that did not seem at all to me like that. Oh, we gotta ask for more questions. The rogue nation took the highly blank action of situating its nuclear missiles a mere 200 or 400 miles off the coast of its greatest rival. Okay, I think it's just provocative. Opaque would just be kind of like obscure. Feckless is kind of like aimless. Tranquil. Definitely not tranquil. Superficial. I don't know there was a superficial way to put nukes next to your enemy, so yeah. The artist was committed not to a particular genre of music, but rather the blank of the day. If public sentiment was down, his music adopted an overly blank tone. If spirits were high, it took on a distinctly blank tone. So not committed to a particular genre, but rather the... I think it's axiom of the day. Well, Vogue, actually. Yeah, no, Vogue is better, because if something's in vogue, it means it's popular, so... Hallowed is more like reverent. But I don't know what lugubrious means. It doesn't sound sad, so... What does jocund mean? Nebulous is dark, I think, so... Like the cloud. This one's a hard one. But yeah, I think animus is like hatred for something, and axiom is just like kind of the dog, like almost like a dogma type thing. So I think it's Vogue. Hallowed. That's not right. I'll look at the video for this one.
So this is obviously a free blanker, and it says the artist was committed not to a particular genre, but rather the blank of the day. If public sentiment was down, his music adopted an overly down tone. If spirits were high, it took on a distinctly high note. So it seems like this artist is essentially copying whatever the public sentiment is. So it seems like it was just going with the feeling of the day, or kind of the culture of the day, something like that. So let's start with blank number 3. What would be a positive word? It looks like jokin, looks pretty good right there, or jockin, however you pronounce it. If you look at blank number 2, which one of these most closely means down? It looks like lugubrious, which means kind of sad or mournful. And then finally, if we go to blank number 1, which one of these means like the moment of the day, or the feeling of the day? Axiom, no. Animus means like hatred.
Okay, it literally just was lugubrious, so I missed it because I didn't know what lugubrious meant. That's the thing about these, is sometimes you'll feel like you know one word better than others, so you want to go with it, but sometimes that's not the best idea.
Lugubrious.
Yeah. No, that's on me. You should have known better. Jacob's prospects of entrepreneurial success are blank now that he has secured his first round of funding. So, it's looking positive. I think we have a bullish estimation of Jacob's prospects. So, because he secured his first round of funding, so... Okay, so it's definitely not flimsy and tenuous. It's something here. I don't think it's alluring, because that's like... I don't think we're going for that here. Like, we're not trying to get in on his prospects. It's just you're saying that objectively the prospects are encouraging and I would say attractive. This is just like lucky almost, I think. So it was that, okay. Do I actually know what this means? Let's go back and check and make sure. Well chosen or suited to the circumstances. Okay, well apparently there were 70% of people also got this wrong, so I think a lot of us are thinking along the same lines there. But that's alright. As individuals, humans are capable of profound reasoning, but as a group, extremely vulnerable to blank. So we're capable of profound reasoning, but there's something here that's a negative. I think these mean the same thing. Yeah. So it's just because it says reasoning. So my thing was here, sophistry is argumentation by false reason or faulty reason, like logical fallacies. So, and I think casuistry means the same exact thing. So after the more quarrelsome members of the group, effective collaboration. So I think we're going to be looking for an upside here. So okay, and so here I know it's not exploded, obviously, because there's no synonym for that. Thawed, crumbled, declined. These are the only two things that actually even mean the same thing here, so not hard. Many wonder whether Melanie's attempts at reconciliation are genuine or merely blank to earn back the public's good graces. So whether they're genuine or whether they're like a farce. Okay, so a feint or a ploy. I think it's a wish. I don't think it's a snub. Not a hope, because that'd be like she genuinely wanted it. That'd be more with hope. And a front, that doesn't fit in that blank at all, so yeah. The movie tells its narrative about accounting, often designated the dullest of subjects with surprising blank. So it tells a movie about accounting, often as the dullest of subjects, but it's going to be not dull, it's going to be exciting and engaging. So not vacancy, not veracity, because that's just being true. Vivacious or vivacity, I think that might be it. Verve is definitely a good one. I don't think it's virtue. I don't know what vapidity is, so I would say verve and vivacity, because I think that's just like really like lively. Yeah, okay, good. Let's look up what vapidity is just to be sure though. Let's look at what that actually means. Lacking liveliness. Okay, so it's the exact opposite. Vapid would be not what we were going for. Okay. Get back on here. Next one. To label young Rosalind Hunt's latest work blank is to undersell it. Her novel demonstrates she's operating far beyond her years. So we're saying to label it is to undersell it, so we're looking for something more negative because this person is clearly saying that she is actually quite a good writer, especially for her age, so it's not mature then. Overvalued would be funny, but I actually don't know about that. I don't think it's prescient. It could be overrated. Precocious is just kind of like inflammatory or incendiary. I don't know what piquant is. So the only two here I know that actually match are overvalued and overrated. So, and that is not correct. Okay. What is piquant? Let's look up what this means actually. I don't think that could be it. Let's see what the video says.
Okay, let's go ahead and pair up for Rosalie Hunt here. Overrated is going to go with overvalued. That's easy enough. Precocious is going to go with mature. They both mean to kind of be above your years or beyond your years. Piquant and prescient, I don't think are a pair. Let's cross those out. To label young Rosalie Hunt's latest work, something is to undersell it. And then we have this support semicolon. Her novel demonstrates she's operating far beyond her years, so she's very advanced. So to label it just mature is to undersell it. She's way beyond her years.
So they were saying it's not just that. Yeah, it's even more so. Okay, I would never have gotten that. That's crazy. We move, though. We move. In 1933, United States Senator Huey Long introduced the Share Our Wealth Plan, which, given the current high levels of inequality, address issues that are still pertinent. Let's see. It's basically still ongoing. I think apropos is actually what we're looking for here. I think apropos is like fitting given the situation. I don't think it's painstaking. I don't think it's pugnacious because that's just like aggressive. Developing. I don't know what germane means, but I feel like it's the only other thing here that can be. Yeah, okay, so that's just process of elimination. I don't know what germane means, but I know apropos means, so yeah, relevant to a subject under consideration. I'm gonna save that. That's a really good word. The mythical world created by author Della Owen is fanciful but not too blank. Readers can indulge in the fantasy without becoming incredulous. So it's fanciful but not too... I think it's not too, like, unrealistic. Yeah, like wistful, superfluous, outlandish, preposterous. Those are all what I'm looking at right now. Affecting and poignant, I don't think those are good. It could be, but we're not getting that from this sentence. So I'm thinking outlandish or preposterous, because those are the two closest, probably. Yeah, nice. Okay, this one's a hard one. It's 28% get it correct, which you can't see because I think I have the thing over that, but just take my word for it. Exercise, particularly of the cardio variety, is not blank good. Research has consistently demonstrated physical activity's adverse effect on joints. So it's not just like it's not just like it's not purely good, like an unadulterated good, because it has some negative effects as well. So I don't think it's abounded because it is a bounded good. Eminent, finite, endurable. I think it's these two. Yeah. Okay, so this was a lot of vibes, I'll be honest with you. I know it's not that, I know it wasn't that, I know it was that, I know it wasn't that, and I know vaguely what consummate means in certain contexts. I'm even afraid to actually look this up, but I'm going to do it. Yeah, my bad. Showing a high school degree. Yeah, so that's what I was looking for, right? So it's not a total good, or an unalloyed. I think that's just like, again, like unadulterated. Yeah, pure. Yeah, it means the exact same thing. So that's how I got that one. Anyway, conservatives in government traditionally advocated for more blank fiscal policy, but lately even they have considered opening the spigot. So opening the spigot would just be like a way to say, like spendthrift. Um, so this is like, we want someone who's gonna be more frugal though. So spiteful, boring, gaudy, acrimonious, stinting, boring. I think it's gaudy, but there's spiteful, there's parsimonious. Actually, parsimonious means small, so I don't know what acrimonious means. I have nothing here to go off of. I don't get anything out of this word at all. I'm gonna go with this. Yeah, okay, so parsimonious is just really small. I feel like that has some Latin roots because of the parse. Yeah. Like, I'd be curious to see the actual etymology of this, but because parse in Latin is just part. And then stinting, a stint is just a small, like, jaunt of something, so that's what I'm going for on there. Those who fixate on the originality of a work of art miss the point. All art is blank to some extent or another, so it's originality is a myth. All art is somehow based on other art. All art is based to some extent. Well, based in not the modern sense. Derivative. Derivative is good. Plagiarize does not really mean the same thing. Okay, so we're kind of in trouble. Well, mundane. Mundane and droll mean the same thing. I don't know what fallow means. I don't like plagiarized, but it kind of has the same sense. So, yeah, it does. Okay, that's just a lot stronger than derivative. Modern, let me go make sure there's nothing in the chat. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Modern elections are less a vote for whom one supports and more of a choice between the lesser of two evils, determined by a calculus of each candidate's blank. Okay, so it's less of a vote for an actual someone you support and more of a choice between the lesser of two evils, determined by a calculus of each candidate's. Is it immorality? So you're just picking the less bad given their immorality, and I think turpid. I think turpitude might come from like turpid, which I think might be bad, or is that torpid? Yeah, okay, what is turpitude, just to be sure? See, this isn't about knowing every word. It's about knowing one word and then knowing enough about other words. Yeah, depravity or wickedness. That's another good word. I like that. I'll bring that up in regular conversation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so we're good. The organization put little stock in the particulars of each student, instead treating the contingent as blank commodity. So it's not the particulars of each student. They're treating the contingent, which is the student, as it's like a whole commodity. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is gonna be hard. Actually, no, never mind. I think it's fungible because I think that means like you can take any of the parts. It's just like a amalgamation or like a kind of homogeneous mixture. So I think it's fungible here. I don't know what that means, and none of these make sense. So by process of elimination, yeah, okay. Let's look up what picayune. I apologize for that. We're gonna ask how to pronounce it.
Picayune.
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 Petty, worthless. Wow, that's mean. It's also a city in Mississippi, which is really funny. Uninterested. Yeah. Nope, that was it. This was another good word. I've been looking for mean words, so that's good. Bureaucracy. Blank bureaucracy has made it all but impossible to secure government grants. Paperwork endlessly shuffled from one department to the next. Okay, this is not really fair because I literally did like done Byzantine today and looked it up because I did prep earlier today. Byzantine just means super complicated. So think like the empire. Empires are complicated. It's not bogus. It's not banal, because that's just, like, boring. Boisterous is the opposite of boring, and Baroque, I think, is just old, so, yeah, nice. This one's hard, it says so. You can't see, take my word for it, please. With a blank of restaurant options hitherto unavailable, people's food preferences have blank across many cuisines. I think amalgamation, or no, because amalgamation is just like a hodgepodge, so it's like an array. And adulteration is not what we're looking for, because that is like the same thing as amalgamation. It's just kind of all mixed and smashed together. But I think an array of restaurant options, people's food preferences have like ballooned, like they've spread out, they've diversified, they've splintered. Yeah, suffered doesn't make sense. Flatlined also makes no sense. That wasn't hard, guys. We got it. That's good. Yeah, we are chilling. Even in its beginnings, ancient Rome was never that blank. A constant influx of settlers, immigrants, tradesmen, and slaves ensured a blank of people. Okay, I think this is exactly what we were talking about earlier. I don't think it was ever that homogenous, because ensured a medley of people, I think. Hysteria doesn't make sense. Transience doesn't make sense. I think that's just it. Yeah. We don't have to make this hard, guys. Don't make it hard. Okay, ran out of questions again, so we gotta... My progress. Load more. It's having trouble giving us questions we haven't done, because I've done a decent amount now. Okay, we should be good. That's plenty of questions I haven't done, so... Evidence of the ancient civilization seafaring is blank. Its boats were typically constructed of wood and other blank materials. There's not a lot to go off of here. Evidence of the ancient civilization seafaring is blank. I think that's actually the point. Evidence is scant. It's supposed to be constructed of wood and other degradable. That's why it's scant. So this is when we're doing the second blank would help inform you on the first. Because you're like, well, how do we figure this out? Well, if you have degradable, which of these are compatible? If it was wood and other degradable materials, we lost the information. Yeah, easy. Space debris traveling upwards of 17,000 miles per hour has been an issue with potentially blank consequences since the 1950s. Lately, however, there has been blank increase in human rubbish orbiting the atmosphere. Yeah, not hard. Yeah, so it's just a direct consequence. Evasive didn't make sense. I don't know what anodyne means, but we don't need to make this complicated. Lately, however, there's been a clamorous doesn't make sense. Itinerant doesn't make sense because that makes it sound like it was planned. I think that's what itinerant means. I think that means planned. We can check on that though. Oh no, traveling from place to place. That doesn't make any sense, so I was glad we didn't do that. And then anodyne. Not likely to provoke dissent or offense. So it's kind of like benign, actually. It's like a statement that's anodyne would be benign. If I know what that means. Yeah, gentle, kindly. Not bad. We'll take that. There is not any etymological connection between the words boy and brave, but there's an association of ideas, which if it does not make the terms blank, is still strongly suggestive of there being one and the same. So, like, the terms are, we're saying that there is an association of ideas, which if it does not make them, like, akin, like it makes them the same, it is still strongly suggestive. Yeah, so not interchangeable. Think like identical twins. Nice. Okay, this is a 50-50 question. A striking trait in the character of the Highlanders was the devoted attachment to their own regiments and officers. When clanship had all but died out in the north, it was found blank among the suffering Highland soldiers. I might need to reread that because I was thinking about the speech I have to give later, so I'm going to reread that. That's my bad, guys. A striking trait in the character of the Highlanders was their devoted attachment to their own regiments and officers. That all but died out in the north, it was found blank. Okay, I was looking for one entry, and so I think we're saying that it was present, but when it died out in the south, it was gone. Actually, this lingering makes more sense. Yeah, okay. I'm curious how they say you should solve that, but these kind of mean the same thing, so I was like, this kind of has to be the only answer. Jean Marc contends that blank realigning the economic order would do little to undo the pernicious effects of capitalism. In his view, a rapid and wholesome reckoning is necessary. So he's an abolitionist, basically. But that's not important. Actually, it might be important, because, like, gingerly kind of means, like, incrementalism. Yeah, it did actually have a lot to do with it. Incrementalism versus abolitionism. So he's an abolitionist. Morrison argues that economic prosperity, however widely blank, will not extinguish crime. Many people imagine that all levels of, or all the evils afflicting society spring from want. This is only partially true. So economic prosperity, however widely blank, will not extinguish crime. That's not a hard one, it's just knowing words. The social condition of mankind is blank, affected by... Let me go read the chat, make sure there's nothing in the chat. Now we're chilling. The social condition of mankind is blank, affected by climatic and other external circumstances. The intense cold of the Arctic and Antarctic regions is blank to anything approaching a developed form of civilization. Yeah, again, that's not a hard one. I don't know what to say about that. The bank robber reacted to the judge's 10-year sentence with relative blank. Perhaps he saw jail as a more secure existence. So he was not like concerned. He was actually kind of like relieved almost. So it's not animosity. It's not enmity. It's not either of those. Aplomb. I don't think it's delight, because relative delight would make sense. I don't think it's innocence. That wouldn't make sense here either. Okay, so we got that by total guessing. We just eliminated 4 options, and that's how we got it. So, and that was a hard one. Only 35% get it correct. But again, you don't have to be smart to take the GRE, and I'll say that because I'm here. So, equanimity is a state of being calm, composed, and balanced. I'm definitely using this one in a sentence.
Aplomb.
Aplomb. Aplomb is a fantastic word. That ignat. Well, let me check his drink first. That ignat would have the blank to propose. The greedy and self-serving proposal was not unexpected. That he designed it such a way as to blank over half the profits to his own coffer, however, was a step too far. So it's definitely not benevolence, we know that. I thought it was deposit, no, funnel. Yeah, funnel's definitely the best one. Would have it's definitely not benevolence. I think obstinance is... That kind of feels like that. I don't know what that means, so I kind of have to go with obstinance. Yeah, okay, so this was just a skill check and I failed. This is one of those situations where I should have thought more about what obstinate meant and realized it was just like stubborn, which doesn't actually make any sense here. So that was completely on me just being stupid, so... Yeah. Temerity. Yeah, temerity means boldness. And then I think, yeah, stubbornness. So I just cooked that one. Okay, well, we're out of questions again. I don't know why it keeps doing this to me. societies with a high degree of blank, wily critics are clever with their blank, subtly rebuking the regime through allusion and metaphor. So in societies with a high degree of... Okay, so it's censorship because wily critics are clever with their... We just saw that word. What does censure mean? I think that has to be what it is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, censure is just disapproval. What is pedantry? Just for just to be thorough, for thoroughness sake. Express excessive concern. So that's just like OCD, basically. In most countries, blank of approved political ideology starts young, for only the youth possesses brains blank enough to be shaped and eyes that are anything but blank. So in most countries, I think it's indoctrination of political ideology starts young. That's like kind of language we use. For only the youth possess brains malleable enough to be shaped and eyes are anything but critical. Yeah. They're saying they have those like innocent eyes, they have malleable brains, very formative point in their lives, and so that's the perfect time for indoctrination. So you can just go through this like a chiasm. You go forwards, that makes sense. Let's go back, and that's it. This one's hard, 40%. The extremely volatile and fly-by-night nature of many cryptocurrencies, blank mass adoption, even if some of their fundamentals are blank. If they continue to engender public distrust, cryptocurrencies will remain blank investment. Okay, fringe. I would already be saying that. This is like a sentence that I would write, which is funny. Oh, I probably should have read this. I don't know why I said skirt. I read it as cryptocurrency skirt mass adoption, but it's extremely volatile and fly by nature preclude. The cryptocurrency is not the subject here. It's an object of preposition, so that's just me being dumb. That was fully on me. Business owners are fed up with blank regulations that, even if one had time to read, verge on the incomprehensible. Thus, they're requesting that documents be significantly shortened and include only direct language. So, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. It's not wayward, it's not elementary, it's not straightforward. That's the exact opposite of what we want. I think it's befuddling, and it's not lengthy would be good, but there's not another thing to match lengthy. So I think it's prolix and befuddling. I am wrong. So it's probably prolix and lengthy. Yeah. So prolix had to go with one of these words. I took the 50-50 and I lost 50-50. What does prolix mean? It means too long. I like that. I'm saving that. So yeah, I just lost 50-50 there. The president has blank influence over gas prices, but people's ire is understandable. In times of crisis, it's in our nature to seek a culprit. So he has no influence. Yeah, it's just pick the words that give him the least influence. That's what those two were. So, one way scientists detect distant exoplanets, naked even to our best telescopes, is by noting how the orbiting planet predictably blank background stars. Okay, so I think you need some like external knowledge for this. Stars are farther away than most planets would be, so I think it's obstructs or occludes. Yeah, so you just gotta know stars are very far away. The planet's gonna block their way, so if you can't see a star, there's a planet in the way. It was Audrey's contention that her students could, at the very least, blank indifference in her lectures. Their outright spite had her considering a new profession. Okay, it's not ad lib. I don't think it's feign, but it could be. Maybe it is feign. Yeah, because it's like they could. Let's think about this. Because their spite was outright, so they could have been upset, but they could have at least pretended they weren't. That's what I'm going to go with. And I'm very wrong. That was the right answer. Dang, okay. Again, I just missed a 50-50. Yeah. These really aren't super close in meaning. Affecting indifference is just like make yourself be indifferent. I don't know, I can see it, I just don't like that. Even though the revolutionaries conspired to overthrow the government, they did not harbor blank antipathy for the former regime. So, benign antipathy is an oxymoron. So they conspired to overthrow it, but they didn't have just absolutely, yeah. I think that's the only option here that works at all. How is this a hard? Only 31% got this right. That's crazy. This is an easy word that we all know. Don't ever overcomplicate this. I overcomplicated saying that word. Let me look at the chat real quick. We got nothing perfect. Let's keep going. Not all blank national security homegrown semiconductor manufacturer is being. Wait. Not at all blank. National. Oh, that makes sense. Blank national security homegrown semiconductor manufacturer is being developed or boosted in many countries to avoid reliance on outside production. This is not right. That's not right. That's not right. That's the exact opposite, so I think it has to be this, and the X prefix is leading me astray. Wait, does not all incidental to mean it's like... Oh yeah, because incidental would mean it's not important, it's just kind of there, but not at all incidental would mean that it is actually important. I just read that wrong. Yeah, I'm just stupid. Okay, how long has this been going? 40... How long do I have? Can probably go for another 15 minutes. That should be okay. I'm gonna turn on the air though, it's very hot in here. This should be a lot better. Okay, politicians claim to seek blank, but their actions say otherwise. Elected officials promoting blank are few and far between. So... Okay, so alacrity just means eagerness. Enmity means like, you know, kind of like animosity between two things. So I think enmity is the only thing to go with. Amity, which feels like it also has Latin roots from amat, so I'm going to go with that. And amat would mean very similar to something like goodwill, so given my Latin, yeah, I don't know if you're supposed to use Latin to solve this, but that's what I did, so... I can never remember what this means. Anyway, but given the dire state of the economy, the Prime Minister is remarkably blank, even more blank. The country's citizens seem equally blaze. Okay, so I don't know what blank means, or what blaze means. Blase. I don't know what that means, but... I have a feeling that's not an exceptional, so at least get a 50-50 here. Okay. Yeah. What does blithe mean? What is... That's just me not knowing what these words mean. Casual, cheerful, indifference. That would have been great to know. Optimistic or positive. So see, this, I just got messed up because both of those were equally good answers, unless you know what blasé means.
Blase.
Yeah, it's just indifferent. So the answer was indifferent. But we're learning. That's what this is for. At once blank and severe, genial and blank, she is a bundle of blank, an enigma people find both fascinating and vexing. That is a fantastic sentence, and even though it's missing a bunch of words. So I think this is a contrast. So something and severe, genial, and this. So it's also flip-flopped. So it's like nice and mean, nice and mean. So she's like sociable and also aloof. She's a bundle of contradiction. That's literally what we're doing here. Not this, not this. We're good. Yup, beautiful. That was a hard one too. Under 50% got that one. Okay, speaking of under 50%, this one is 1 in 3 people get this. But don't worry, we're going to get it right now. Meetings at the company are, by design, blank. Management fearing that an overly blank structure would inhibit the blank and spontaneity for which the company is so well known. Isn't that a rock band? Okay, verisimilitude sounds like uniformity. So I think evanescence is what I want to do. Delineated is just overly structured. And amorphosis like has no form, so I think that's good. We are very wrong. What does myopic mean? Okay, that was like my second try. What does this mean? Oh. Yeah, that would have been nice to know. I just got cooked there for not knowing. Okay, well, now we're going to an easy question that 85% get correct. So surely we can't mess this up. Those are betting odds. In stark contrast to the 40-year reign of Augustus, the tenure of most Roman emperors were comparatively short-lived. We need another word, though. Okay. It's not arbitrary. It could be transitory. It's definitely not immutable. Definitely not faint-hearted. Nice. I was almost worried about that. I knew y'all had my back. Yeah, okay, so this just came from the Latin timor, which is fear, which is what I thought. So, which would make sense in this context, but it didn't go with either of these two. So, even with the blank offered by the teacher, excluding extended recess and an end-of-semester pizza party, she was unable to spur active participation in class. So, it's like incentives? Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, nice. Electric cars are not the blank we envision them to be if the majority of the electricity we generate is a result of fossil fuels. This is such a, speaking of pithy, like hey, public service announcement, electric cars are, anyway, I'm getting into that. Yeah, I think I know what panacea means. I'm gonna look it up to be sure. Yeah, it's like snake oil that works. But again, you can just say not a nuance, not a scourge, non-irritant, non-axiom. You study process of elimination there. In a culture that so admires austerity, you'd be wise to check any of your more blank tendencies. What is austerity? This is a hard one. Yeah, I think austerity is just, if I remember correctly, austerity is like an austere lifestyle. Is kind of blank, kind of like Spartan. Um, so ostentatious and conspicuous is obviously not like living below your means. Is kind of out there. Got that bombast, right? So, actually, what does bombast mean? I think that's what that means. Yeah, it's just you're trying to impress people. Not exactly what that means actually, so don't listen to me, but at least we got the question right. That's what matters. So, how long has it been? I'll do 3 more questions, so we gotta speed run these. The film is indeed blank, but only in the most positive sense. It pays fitting homage to many of the industry's trailblazers. Nice. The major nations of World War I were not necessarily attempting to win battles per se, but rather trying to blank the various societies of their enemies. So, yeah, okay, I might be able to do more than 3 questions. Those were very easy. Okay, this is a very hard one. It's 28% get this correct. One digital video platform, in order to blank public outcry, has blank the manner in which infants and young children can appear in a video, given that they cannot blank such an inclusion. So, acquiesce to. It's like the child in the front of Nirvana's album has actually sued Nirvana, fun fact. Or at least he did a while back, because he didn't consent to that photo being taken of him. So this is kind of the same thing. Why was that hard? Maybe it's just because they care about this. But yeah, Quell is just like, you know, they're trying to bring it down. Maybe because we can't throw people off. Because we can't, like, take something back. But I'll do... Okay, this one's an extreme. This is the best one to end on, because this would be such good momentum if we can get this. Because it's only 23% get this correct. So when informed, their blank legionaries were defeated in battle. If not blank, Roman citizens were blank as if they had yet to wake from a bad dream. That made no sense to me. This is very hard. Okay, so this blank, the third blank is related to as if they had yet to wake from a bad dream. Unrepentant and apologetic, that makes sense of that. It has to be incredulous. And I think this refers to this, but I'm not sure. Although the router makes you think that's referring to this. I think it has to be this. And then I think the only context for this blank is defeated in battle. So I think it's forlorn. That's not correct. It was my original answer. It was my original answer. So the legionaries are proud of her. Okay, we gotta do one more just because that's a terrible way to end. Oh, this is an easy one. State officials publicly indicated that inflationary pressures are likely to be blank. Privately, however, they worry of prolonged effects. Okay, so this is a contrast. However, prolonged, so it's likely to be short, fleeting. We just saw this already. Nice. Okay, and that's where I think we're gonna end this. So I don't know, thank you for being along with that. It says there's one person watching right now. I'm so sorry to end as soon as you got on. I am so sorry. But I have somewhere to be. I have to go give a little talk in a second. So, but yeah, I hope that was helpful at all. I hope someone got some work done. I hope someone's inspired to take the GRE because it's actually kind of fun. So